Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you some of my favorite colors from Schmincke, and I know many of you have asked me to share my favorite colors, my favorite brands of watercolors, since I have truly become obsessed with them. So you can get this palette with student grade paints, 12 student grade paints in it at Jackson's Art if you love this palette. If not, you can get ones cheaper on Amazon, of course. But I use this. These are my current favorite colors. What I do is I take out of all my colors that I've collected so far, I make a different palette for each season. And so this is my spring and summer collection. I put this together in March and I've been using it since then and I've really enjoyed it. I haven't switched it around any. Now when I first put this palette together, these pans were all full, so I can usually tell my favorite colors are by how much is gone, like the Cobalt Turquoise is about to hit pan. And same with the transparent yellow, which the transparent yellow is really just Schmincke's version of Azo, what everyone else calls Azo yellow. But what I do is I put these together for each brand. Once I get them all, I like to put them in a smaller group because then you can use them much more. This is what I found easiest because whenever I would have my when I first got the Schmincke 36 pan set, that's what I started with Schmincke, and it was my first love. But what I found really quickly is when I have all of these colors, I would swatch and I would mix, but I wouldn't paint because it's really, for me, I found it's too many choices. So I find it much easier to actually do painting in sketchbooks or something if I do have a limited palette. So those of you who told me you don't need that many colors, you were right about at a time, but I still thoroughly enjoy collecting all the colors and all the brands. I can't even tell you. Today I wanted to share my spring and summer palette. So I've been using this since March and I've really enjoyed it. I'm going to go ahead and swatch all these off for you and tell you why they're my favorites. And to do that, I'm just going to be putting it on Canson watercolor paper. I love using Canson paper for just swatching and doing color mixing and basically just playing. I'm just going to swatch these out for you guys and then I will tell you my favorite colors. So the first color that I have is lemon yellow. This is pigment PY3 and it's a really lovely cool yellow and has a teeny bit of green in it, and it makes some really pretty greens, of course. Lemon yellow, and that is PY3, and it is a cool yellow, and it is, and I'm going to show you the key chart here so you, in case you're curious about the opacity or the light fastness or anything like that. And then next is pure yellow. Now pure yellow is new to me. I haven't had it that long, but this is more of a, pure yellow is right here, and it's PY154, and it's a new color to me. I believe it's new to Schmincke. I think it's a lovely yellow. And then the next is transparent yellow. Now this is from PY150. And basically this is just what everyone else calls Azo yellow. So of course I love it because that's what it makes. It makes the most gorgeous greens, and it is what is found in Quinacridone Gold, and Quinacridone Gold is one of my favorites and I never have it out of my palette. And if I had to choose between the two, I would just go ahead and get Quinacridone Gold because you can mix wonderful greens as well, but I like the color by itself better. Schmincke's Quinacridone Gold is a gold hue, and so it's made from PY150 and PR101. And sorry, my dog Bella just joined us because a leaf blew or something in the front yard, so she's getting all protective. She's a yellow lab, and so she's very protective of me, and she's my buddy all day. It's basically what they have to use instead of P049, which is no longer available, that I have the original color in Daniel Smith, and you really can't beat that. Next is transparent orange. which is one of my favorite oranges, and this is actually one of my favorite oranges of all the brands that I found. And so this one is transparent orange. It's PO71. So it's absolutely gorgeous orange. Even though oranges are so easy to mix, I really enjoy mixing, but I enjoy having the colors ready to go as well. Next is Vermilion Light, a really pretty coral color. This is my first time I've actually had it in my palette. And so there's a Vermilion and a Vermilion Light, and I chose to put the light in this time. So I chose it because even though it's not as light fast, it is more transparent. So, and that's what I was going for my florals. So, really pretty coral color. Next, I have Scarlet Red, which is a warm red. It's really lovely. So Scarlet Red is made from PR254, semi-opaque, but it's just a lovely color. And it seems like I do have Scarlet Red on my palette most of the time. Next is Perylene Maroon. This was on my fall palette and I kept it because it's just a gorgeous deep red. So this is Perylene Maroon. It's made from PR179. It is semi-opaque, but I find it to be a lovely color, and I really love all the Perylene colors actually. Next I have Ruby Red. And it's made from PV19, which is one of my favorites. So it's more of a bluish red, and it's more of a coolish red than the scarlet. So I like to have, I like to always have a warm and a cool of all the primaries. I think that's where I start, and then I go from there to add colors. Next, I have my only color that's not light fast is Brilliant Rose, and only because spring in color, you just need a bright pink. I'm not doing any of my work for sale, for commissions. It's just simply for joy for me, so I'm not going to worry about it. It's a lovely color. So Brilliant Opera Rose is made from a fluorescent pigment, PR122. And so it's completely transparent, it's non-staining, and it's just lovely. But it's not, this is the first time it's been on my palette, so. Next I have Quinacridone Magenta. Lovely color, and probably one of my favorite colors, and yes, the color usually my nail polish is, so love that Quinacridone Magenta. Schmincke's version is made from PR202, it's highly light fast, and it's a red violet. I love it. It's always on my palette. It never leaves my palette. Next up, I have Perylene Violet, another color that stays on pretty much year round. And I just love it. It's a deep maroon color that's just gorgeous, and it makes some really gorgeous mixes. I love Schmincke's version as well as Daniel Smith's. It's opaque, but it's light fast. It's made from PV29, and it describes it as a dark wine red. I describe it as a gorgeous deep burgundy, and I absolutely love it. I can't get enough of it. Honestly, I can't ever. These two are always on my palette. Actually, these three. Quinacridone Gold, Quinacridone Magenta, and Perylene Violet. And Perylene Green too coming up. Next is Quinacridone Purple. This is another color I wouldn't have on my palette all the time because it's so easy to make purples. But since I could shove in one extra color, it's really a pretty purple, and sometimes it's just nice. And this is made from PV55, and it describes it as a blue violet between Quinacridone Violet and Manganese Violet. So the Manganese Violet I have that I love, but it's very granulating. So this is more of a non-granulating form, almost like the Manganese Violet. And Manganese Violet actually is I probably prefer the Manganese Violet actually over this, but I wanted to play with this more. And sometimes I don't like the granulation. And actually when I first got it, that was the color I hated because I thought something was wrong with it because I didn't understand granulation. And now of course I love it. Next up I have Delft Blue, which is one of my favorite Schmincke blues. It's just a gorgeous deep blue and also great. That usually stays on my palette. So this Delft Blue is made from PB60. It is more on the opaque side. It is opaque, and I didn't realize that, but it's just gorgeous. It really is. I love it. Okay, next is Indigo, another favorite that is usually on my palette. And I love Schmincke's version because it's not too purple and it's not too gray. It's really the deep blue that I love from it. So Schmincke's version of Indigo is made from PB 15:1 and PB 66. And it is opaque again. I always thought I would be the transparent watercolor person, but evidently a lot of my favorite colors are not transparent. Go figure. This says it was originally traditional plant dye stuff from India, perfect for shading and deepening of colors. And that's what I use it for. I use my indigo all the time to make my shadows for my purples, to add shading to my purples usually. Next I have French Ultra, and Schmincke actually has several ultramarine blues. French Ultra I think is my favorite. It's a lovely, it just looks clean and has great granulation. So Schmincke's French Ultramarine is very granulating. It is transparent and light fast, of course, but it is made from PB29, which I think that's the gold standard for ultramarine. It's a reddish blue that is just gorgeous. Next is Cobalt Blue, which is new to my palette. I think it's perfect for spring and summer. I think it's perfect for skies and for ocean scenes. This is Cobalt Azure. And so this is a new, I haven't had this color that long, so I haven't been able to play with it. So I wanted to be able to play with it. It is granulating, but it listed as a soft greenish light blue. It's great for skies and landscaping, and says strongly granulating. I have Helio Turquoise that I'm using as my Phthalo Blue to make great mixes. I love it because I love it by itself because it's just such a gorgeous color, but also gives me all of the wonderful green mixes that I would need a Phthalo Blue for, but I don't like Phthalo Blue on its own. But watered down, this is actually a lovely color. Made from PB 15:3. It's just beautiful in mixes. Watered down. Next is Cobalt Turquoise, of course, one of my all-time favorite colors. Such a gorgeous color. It's almost always on my palette just because I love it. And it is semi-opaque. It's also granulating, but it's made from PG50, and it's just a gorgeous, gorgeous color. Next is Phthalo Green, which is not very pretty by itself. It's very fake looking, but it really makes some wonderful mixes. And so Phthalo Green is PG7, and so see, it's in the Prussian Green, it's in the Mae Green that's coming up. So it's just a wonderful mixing color. Next is Mae Green, a bright spring green. That is a multi-pigment. It is a multi-pigment, but it is transparent. It's made from PY151 and PG7. And if I didn't have the extra space, it would be one of the colors to go though. So this is kind of, I consider this kind of a bonus color, just like the Quinacridone Purple. Next up is Perylene Green, one of my all-time favorites, which it's always on my palette. I don't think I've ever had it off since I purchased it. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous deep green, and it makes the best blacks, the best grays, beautiful greens. It's just gorgeous. You won't find it with the greens. It's actually with the blacks because it's made from PBK31. So it is opaque, and it is labeled as an extremely dark black green. Next is a new color to me. It's almost, I don't think I've played with it that much actually, just a few times. And that is Transparent Ochre, which this is Transparent Ochre. This is made from PY42 and it's fully transparent, and that must be why I like it, because I don't really like Schmincke's regular yellow ochre. Then next I have Transparent Sienna. A lot of your palette will be decided on what kind of subject matter you use. I still do a little of everything. I haven't done very many landscapes, but I like to paint animals. I like to paint flowers. I still like to do a little bit of everything. So it's Transparent Sienna. It's made from PR101 and it is transparent. So it says it's a warm brown, transparent alternative to burnt sienna, ideal for mixing. And that's why it made it on my palette. Next, I have Burnt Umber. And as much as if I had to kick some of these off, I probably wouldn't have as many neutrals since I do love painting animals. I really need them on my, I don't like them, you know, to look at them, but they're just so useful. And so I have to have some on my palette because I really don't like to mix a whole bunch of browns. Burnt Umber, it's made from PBR7 and it is semi-opaque, but it's a warm brown and it contains only pure burnt natural earth, whatever that means. Basic color for landscape and painting. And these, I usually have some form of an ochre, some form of a burnt sienna, and some form of a burnt umber on my palette. And next is another color I kind of consider to be a bonus color. I don't need a gray on my palette all the time, but it is helpful, but especially this one. And this one is Schmincke Payne's Gray. And what I like about this one is it really can give you some light grays if you need it, but you can also make some really interesting blacks with it. Schmincke's Payne Gray. And it is made, it's multi-pigment, it's made from PR101, PB29, and PBK7. But since I can get all these colors in, I have room for it. So it says it's a traditional Schmincke neutral gray mixture of red, blue, and black. Slightly cooler than neutral tint. So it doesn't have the purpley look, is why I like it. So these are my current favorite colors. And I find it a very good palette for doing a mixture. I can do florals, I could do landscapes, I could paint animals, and I get some wonderful mixes. So I really don't need to come down and grab other colors. And when I'm doing my palette, I always check and make sure that they're going to be good mixing colors. And that's why, so I have my transparent, I'm not going to show you all of them, but I'm going to show you a few. I'll do a test and see how many colors to see if it's worthy of being on my palette, of course. And so I take this is the transparent yellow mixes I was able to get. Even with Brilliant Rose, I was surprised at the really pretty oranges. It kind of looks like a fluorescent orange, but it's kind of cool. But I really loved the mixes with the Ruby Red the best. Of course, you can get some really nice greens with the Perylene Green and the Indigo. Even with the Helio Turquoise, I thought that was a nice green. But if you don't have room, you're using a smaller palette, I think the Quinacridone Gold would be good if you're choosing between those. So just swatch out your colors and see what pretty mixes you can get. But here is why I have to have Perylene Green and Perylene Violet. Look at the gorgeous grays you get. I started painting an elephant and I loved the colors I was getting. And I love aqua. I'm a big turquoise fan. And so I even loved a lot of the Helio Turquoise and the Perylene Green, the mixes you can get. I hope this was helpful and I hope I gave you some ideas. Next, I will be sharing my Daniel Smith palette because I have a palette for Daniel Smith's as well in the spring and the summer. So I use 3 palettes a year. I use one for spring and summer, one for fall, and one for winter. And that has been generally the way I've been doing it, and it's been working out really well. But this is my spring-summer palette. It will probably change next year, and this is the color chart that I made, that I did paint onto Arches paper, which is what I use for my color charts. And then I just keep it in here, and then I don't have to write the names down because I have them on the actual hands, but I just keep that in here. I am gonna make a Daniel Smith one because I know I've had a lot of you request the one for to see my favorite Daniel Smith colors as well. So I hope you enjoyed this and I hope you found it helpful. Thanks for watching.